All right, let's get right into it. We are in the middle of a massive seismic shift in how video gets made. We're moving from the old school, really difficult methods into a whole new era driven by AI. And believe me, this isn't some far-off future stuff. This is the new reality for creators, happening right now.
This quote, man, it just perfectly captures how big this is. I mean, think about that for a second. Anything you could imagine, you can now pretty much bring to life on screen just by describing it. The old limits, they're just gone.
And just to be clear, we're not talking about a small software update here or a new filter on your phone. Nope. This is a full-blown earthquake, shaking the very foundations of how content gets made, from your favorite YouTuber all the way up to Hollywood blockbusters. The whole system is being rebuilt from the ground up.
So first up, a new moving reality. We're going to dive right into the AI video battleground and see who's really leading the pack. Just look at this contrast. It's night and day, right? The old way, on the left, meant you needed these huge, expensive render farms, giant VFX teams, and months of work just to simulate something like water. The new way, you type a sentence, a deep neural network thinks for a few seconds, and bam, there it is. The leap is just staggering. So, all this new power has kicked off this chaotic new battlefield. And that leads to the big question. In this new generative landscape, who's actually coming out on top? Who's going to be the king? Which brings us to Section 2, the Titans. Let's meet the three heavyweights in the ring right now: Sora, Runway, and Kling. I love this breakdown because it shows each model's unique fighting style. Okay, so you've got OpenAI's Sora. Think of it as the physicist. Its grasp on real-world physics is just on another level. Then there's Runway, the cinematographer. It gives you incredible control over camera moves, and get this, it can even do realistic lip syncing. And finally, Kling is the marathon runner, because it can pump out these beautiful, super long videos. But, they each have a weakness. Sora is like a fortress, almost impossible to get into. Runway can sometimes, hallucinate, making weird mistakes in longer videos. And Kling can be a bit more complicated to use and has some stricter filters.
All right, next section, Google's all-in-one studio. See, while everyone else was busy building a better weapon, Google was off building an entire arsenal.
And this is really Google's secret weapon. They're not just throwing another video model into the fight. Nah, they're changing the entire game with what they call the Gemini Flow, which connects all their tools together into one big ecosystem. So here's how this Gemini Flow thing actually works. First, you feed it your idea, a story, a script, whatever. Then, Gemini acts like your creative partner, automatically storyboarding everything into scenes. And then, this tool called Whisk Animate brings those storyboard images to life. It basically takes the really hard work of writing perfect text prompts and turns it into a simple visual workflow. It's a game changer. Okay, Section 4, the director's playbook. We've seen the tools. Now let's talk about how you actually use them to get those incredible professional-looking results. How do you turn your idea into a 4K masterpiece?
And this is so important. Having a powerful AI model is not enough, not even close. The people who are really crushing it in this space aren't just typing a simple sentence and hitting enter. No way. They're using a structured, multi-step workflow to get those jaw-dropping results.
And here's that exact workflow. It starts with creating one perfect base image. Then you bring that image into a video model and write a new prompt, but this one is only about the motion. Next, you define your camera movements, zooms, pans, all that good stuff. And finally, you export the video and upscale it, which is just a fancy way of saying you make it super sharp and polished, ready for a 4K screen. It's a process, but it works.
Now, to really master that motion step, you need a formula. This is what the source material calls the golden formula for video prompts. And the cool thing is, it's designed to get you consistent, amazing results no matter which AI platform you're on. The formula itself is actually super simple. It's just 5 parts. You start with your subject, then add the action they're doing, describe the setting, define the camera's movement, and finally, detail the lighting. When you break your prompt down like this, you're giving the AI a crystal clear blueprint for exactly what you see in your head. And here it is in action. See? We have our subject, the cyborg, the action, sprinting, the setting, a Neo-Tokyo alley. Then we add the camera, a long shot, tracking backward, and finally, that specific neon rim lighting. That level of detail, that's what separates the okay results from the professional ones. Okay, final section. Let's zoom all the way out and look at the real impact of this whole revolution. How is this tech really democratizing art?
Let this sink in. Just a little while ago, if you wanted to make a high-quality 3-minute CGI trailer, you were looking at a bill for hundreds of thousands of dollars, minimum. That number was basically a giant wall, keeping most independent creators out of the game.
But this technology, it's completely smashed that wall to pieces. At its core, this whole revolution is about one thing, and one thing only: the democratization of art. It's taking the monopoly on high-end production away from the giant studios and putting those same tools into the hands of individual creators and indie developers.
In this quote, it just perfectly sums up the new food chain of skills. It's not about who's the best at clicking buttons in some super complex software anymore. That kind of technical skill is taking a back seat to something much more human: pure, raw imagination and the ability to come up with a powerful idea.
Which leaves us with one last big provocative thought. As these tools get better and easier for everyone to use, we really have to ask ourselves, in this new era of creation, what's actually going to matter more? A multi-million-dollar budget or a single brilliant idea? And honestly, the answer to that question is going to define the entire future of art itself.